Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
I'm engaged.
Yay! Should we tell her?
No, it's not
Okay. Okay. So last podcast we neglected to mention our friend Taylor Wankaniko, who's been on our show. She has once before, and she can always come back here and be on it anytime.
Living her glamorous life in Hollywood, California.
I miss her.
I do too.
I do. I really do.
That laugh is just one of the.
I know. She's so special. She gave us a top 5.
She had a top 5 most anticipated movies, which was The Multiverse of Madness, The Black Phone, which she's all about the thrillers. So that's a thriller movie. And living in LA, I think she got a special premiere of The Black Phone.
Okay.
And so good for her. And she's just all about it. Like
that's one crossover with you with Doctor Strange.
Oh, yes, exactly. Turning Red, which I think is another thriller movie. And then The Northmen. Have you heard about The Northmen?
Is that from the guy that's done the 2 other movies that my brother likes? The one about the lighthouse, and I don't know.
Perhaps.
What? Okay.
It's like a gritty Nordic drama.
Yes.
Okay.
My brother's interested in that. I liked his first movie, hated his second movie. So I'm up in the air on the third movie. It's horrible.
Horrible.
It's just terrible. It's terribly boring.
Because it tasted bad.
It was just, it was really bad.
And our last one was Where the Crawdads Sing, which is, I believe, the new Pixar movie coming out.
Oh.
I believe.
I have not heard about that one. Okay.
Pixar movie.
Well, good picks for her.
Turning Red is Pixar. Right?
Turning Red is Pixar. Yes.
And then
that's what it is.
Where the Crawdads Sing is that a thriller too?
Too bad she's not here on the podcast. Okay, so...
And the Fantastic Beasts movie was her honorable mention.
Back at the old house, you came up with a topic that I was like, that's great. I wrote it on a piece of paper months ago, and now we're finally getting around to doing it.
And then you kept it somehow
I kept it through the move.
Through a move, which is almost impossible.
Look, here's the cereals we'll never eat again. Here's the local restaurants.
Now, this one I'm very interested to hear. Because the way I pitched it to you was top 5 movies that impacted your childhood.
There's our Halloween list.
And then you had not written it down like that with that title. And then you were like, oh, but no, these all still apply.
I changed the title, though. But yes.
They all still apply.
Impactful movies of our youth, whatever we want to call this.
Either way, like you have, they didn't change. Even though I told you that was the title. You're like, nope.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'll go first here. I'm going to say 2. I'm going to be bold. Yeah.
Oh, crossover.
2 crossover.
Ooh, I gotta go 1.
1, that's fine.
You get.
Okay, that's fair.
It's possible.
All right, so go ahead, number 5.
Number 5 was E.T.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't mine because I didn't watch that till I was a grown adult.
Well, E.T. was the first movie I saw in the movie theater.
Oh, really?
I remember seeing it in the movie theater.
Right on.
And I remember turning to, in the parking lot after the movie was over. Everyone, was sobbing in the theater at the end. Of course. And then I had gone with a couple of my couple friends when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And then they turned to my dad, and my dad's a very stoic, half Vulcan man who doesn't really show much emotion.
Right.
And they turned to him and said, "Mr. Don, did you cry at the end?" And he says, "Well, I got tears in my eyes." But I knew that my dad had been crying. Like, I looked over and I saw my tear in my dad's eye. And so I was, how old was he? What year was E.T.?
That had to be 85, right? 80?
No, it was before Return of the Jedi.
Before Return of 82?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Jedi was 83?
Jedi is 83, yeah.
So E.T., I've looked it up before because Jedi and E.T. are the first movies I remember seeing in the movie theater.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so whichever one of those came first, which I think is E.T.,
wow.
That's the first movie I remember seeing. And so it was a startling moment for me, realizing for the first time that my dad could cry.
Oh, wow.
And that he could be emotionally affected by things like that. And so it made me very interested. And I've loved sci-fi and alien stories. And have you watched E.T. recently? It's a magnificent movie.
Well, no, I watched it that once when I was an adult.
It's worth it.
It's fine. It's fine.
I think. And I realized it had a very much an X-Files kind of vibe to it. And I think it was a part of the reason that I liked stuff like that, where it's not quite explained and it doesn't have to be explained. And like, because a lot of ET's, how he got there, where he's going, like none of that's explained anymore.
No.
And well, it's over explained now, but it's not explained in that movie. And one of the things I was just talking to you about off our microphones before we started recording is how much I'm enjoying the Book of Boba Fett, and a lot of what they're saying is shut up is
that conversation.
That other conversation.
Yes, go ahead. By all means, let's talk about that exciting conversation.
All right.
Anyway,
so they're telling a lot of that story, and I was just telling you, and I want to repeat this because you could take Boba Fett and Star Wars in general, all of the mythos of Star Wars out of the Book of Boba Fett, and I would still enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
It's doing good storytelling without leaning on Star Wars. Last week on the podcast, we were talking about how Eternals and Phase 4 of Marvel is leaning too heavily on the mythos. They're like, you're going to love this no matter what we do, and so they're leaning on that already established excellence, and it's not good. You can't do that with anything. And so this is the first Star Wars thing I've seen in a long time that doesn't just say, we're Star Wars, you're gonna love it no matter what. And that's what I feel Marvel's doing now. And why are you giggling still? All through that whole thing you were giggling.
No, I'm just saying that, how to get a girl who likes movies. You sit in one of her lectures, and when she looks over at you, you close your eyes and have the words "love you" on the. And if she gets that Raiders of the Lost Ark reference, then it's meant to be.
Okay, well, I might have to do that and see.
Okay,
I might have to see if Taylor's teaching any classes this year. Just go cosplay as Dr. Jones.
There you go, cosplay as Dr. Jones. That'd be great. That'd be great.
Right.
Here, you throw me the idol, I'll throw you the whip. That's
yes. Exactly.
Oh, Dr. Octopus. He never had it better.
Never had.
God.
Yeah.
See how many people get that joke.
I love you.
I
love you. And
I know.
Love you, Taylor. I know.
No. Okay, so my number 5. This is kind of interesting. Are all yours movies you saw in movie theaters?
No.
Okay, because I was going to be afraid here. The first 2 I never saw in theaters. My number 5 is King Kong versus Godzilla, the original one.
Really?
It played on TBS all the time, and me and my brothers did not miss a showing.
What?
And then rewatching it recently, I think last year, why?
Why?
King Kong and Godzilla aren't in it till the end hardly. They rarely battle. It's very slow.
What year was this?
And then when they battle, this is in the 60s or whatever, when they were in the rubber suits and whatnot.
Why did you watch that?
But for some reason, we just loved it as kids.
You don't know what the appeal was?
I don't know, but we'd sit down and watch it.
With cereal?
So, it was the TBS mid-morning afternoon movie. And they always played it. And so, every year they played it or whatever.
Because they probably didn't have to pay any royalty fees for it.
Maybe not. They Turner owned the rights or whatever.
Right.
Either way, though, we'd sit there and watch it. It was a big event for me and my brothers. And like I said, I watched it this past year and thought, wow, let me skip a little bit. Let me skip to the fight scene.
Surprising?
And even the fight scene, it wasn't that good. I was like, why did we like it so much? But the thing was, we went nuts. When the commercial said King Kong versus Godzilla this Saturday on TBS, we're like,
watch it.
Clear the schedule.
Right.
We got, or in the summer they'd play it, and we'd be like, oh wait, clear us, Mom, clear my schedule for this afternoon.
Must see TV.
I must see King Kong versus Godzilla.
Pre-VHS.
Yeah.
You just had to see it.
But that was a big one for me.
That's
all right,
cool. What a fun story. I like that.
Yeah. What's number 4?
Number 4, impactful, is Taylor had this one with me too, and I'm just, the more I talk about her, the more I realize that I just really need to go buy a ring or something.
Yeah, think so. Glad we got that out.
There we go. It's done. So
we can end the podcast early if you got somewhere to go.
I got somewhere to be.
This is turning into the ending of a Hallmark movie now. I gotta go, and then you board a flight.
It's like you walk in and with all the presents in your hand, you say, "I'm sorry, man's got to do what a man's got to do."
The Hallmark movie called Podcast of the Heart.
Uncle Jamie. Yes.
Okay, number 4.
Back to the Future. Is that on the list?
Yeah, no. I'll tell you why though later on. Well, no, it never. For me, I felt like we watched it when it came out in VHS.
Yeah.
I loved it, and they kept saying there was a sequel, and it felt like forever, even though it was like 5 years.
I don't know how
till the sequel came out. But I got pissed.
Because it was a to be continued?
It was a to be continued.
It wasn't original.
Well, no, Doc Brown's loading the car up with wherever he said, come on, Marty, we got to go to the future. Your children are going nuts.
Right.
And you're like, well, what happens?
Roads where we're going, we don't need roads. And then it ends. And it's just over. And
see, I felt like there was another one.
I don't think there was a to be continued in the original.
Oh, okay.
Because, and I do remember this, and this is one of the reasons why, because Back to the Future 2, I do distinctly remember.
Well, yeah, to be concluded.
And then the to be concluded and the gigantic groan from the audience. Just like, that was the first time I ever heard an audience almost boo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, oh, like everyone.
Yeah, because you want to see it.
Come on.
Because they'd waited so long for the second one. They waited so long
for it. Now, thankfully, and I don't think we really realized that at the time, but they had been filming the movies concurrently,
2 and 3 back to back.
2 and 3, yeah. But we didn't know that.
No.
We're thinking, 5 more years.
Yeah.
And this was, so...
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on back to the Future. It's a great movie, by the way.
It's really just a sense of adventure and the... science behind it, this non-science behind it, like the comedy of it, the timing that Michael J. Fox has.
Movie magic.
Really that. Bob Zemeckis movie magic.
Bob Zemeckis movie magic.
He knows how to make a dang good movie.
Soundtrack, shooting, directing, the electrical drawn lightning scenes, which are just... I love them.
It's still good.
It's still good.
It's so good still.
Yeah.
And people don't even realize that Bob Zemeckis made such great, made Forrest Gump right after that, I think.
It's great.
And it's just some of the greatest movies ever. And Back to the Future has got to be up there as one of the greatest ever. And I think that's why it's just influential. It's just because I don't know.
I agree with you.
Perhaps created a standard for any kind of movie like that. It's just fantastic.
Good.
Fantastic storytelling.
My number 4 is in that same category. Good old 80s movie you always love. Because we watched it a billion times on VHS as kids. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Heck yes.
We watched the TV edit version and didn't realize it. So when you stick a lump of coal in Cameron's fist, in 2 weeks you have a diamond.
Yes.
I thought that was the line for years. Into his fist. And then other things that were heavily edited. We didn't know this movie was...
had no idea.
As dirty as it was. Well, my dad had seen it. And when he heard that we were watching it all the time, we got in trouble. We're like, why? There's nothing in the movie that's bad. But Dad didn't realize we were watching the TV edited version of the movie. He thought we were watching the whatever rated version. And so he was like, you're going to be watching that. What are you doing? You can't... So we weren't allowed to go to my buddy's house to watch it anymore. Though we were so confused because there was nothing bad. Dad, there's nothing bad in it. I mean, he lies to his parents. Is that what's bad? I mean, we really didn't understand. And then when we saw the actual film, I was like, whoa now, Ferris. Language.
That's a good point.
Which was pretty funny that I grew up on the TV
I remember
version.
Getting in trouble when my parents walked in and I was watching the movie version of it, the unedited for TV version of it. Yeah. And I was like, I think I got in trouble for watching the movie.
We got in trouble for that, but it was the TV edit and Dad didn't know that. Dad thought it was the actual movie.
Wow.
All right, so what's number 3 for you?
Is Arachnophobia.
Shut up. Well, yep.
It kind of speaks for itself, right?
Yeah.
There and I had this conversation with Kim too, and this was on Kim's top 5, and maybe her number 1, because she says just to this day, every time she gets into the shower, she checks the shower head for spiders. To this day, every time, out of habit, and I don't blame her because that movie is horrifying, and people like Kim has legitimate arachnophobia. And she had it forever, has had it forever. And the definition of arachnophobia is not just a fear of spiders, but a fear of the danger of spiders. Even though there's no one of them near you, it can't hurt you. And there's clearly no danger to you whatsoever, but you still have a physical response to it. Just seeing it, or even thinking about it, or talking about it, that's the phobia. And Kim has all of it, like every bit of that phobia. And so you can't even mention the word spider in a sentence, and it will still cause her a visceral and physical
Wow,
reaction.
that is wild.
So,
that is wild.
And it didn't have, that's not what gave her arachnophobia, but I don't even know how or why she watched the movie. I don't know how she did. But, like, to this day, she can't watch Harry Potter Part 2, I think it is when they go into the forest when Aragog is down there.
Oh, and all the snakes?
Part 3.
Whichever one. With the snakes in the forest? I mean, spiders in the
forest? She can't handle it. Nope. And then, like, even video games like Skyrim, you know, Elder Scrolls 5 is one of the greatest
I did not
games.
know that.
One of the greatest games ever made, but one of the most common baddies. You have to fight these giant spiders. And she's like, nope, can't play this game.
That's hilarious.
Actually, there's a mod for people with arachnophobia for the Skyrim game that turns all the spiders into, like, unicorns, or not unicorns, but something fluffy and not terrifying, you know. And changes the sound effect for them too, so that they don't have that little skittering.
Yeah.
Chitter.
Wow.
Just that alone.
Wow, that is crazy. Yeah. I never knew that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Wow, what?
And so it partly is on the list just because I wanted to talk about my little sister, but also and not make fun of her, but but just to bring up arachnophobia in general. But gosh, there's still so many scenes in that movie, like. Because we grew up on a farm, you know, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so a lot more bugs.
Yeah, of course.
And we're just used to it. And you're just so used to turning your head around and you're like, there's a gigantic insect right in your face. And it's like, ugh.
Wow.
Horrifying.
Wow.
Anyway, that one just made a lasting impact on me just because of some of those scenes. I don't want to talk about them. Ugh. It's disgusting. It freaks me out. They're too fast. They're too fast. There's no need for them to be that fast. You know, it's nasty. Way too many legs. It's not necessary. And just so many things wrong with that is all I'm trying to say.
I just noticed you're wearing a Slytherin.
I am wearing a Slytherin hoodie.
Why?
Yes, because I'm in House Slytherin.
Are you really?
I did.
No.
I took that test.
You?
I took the test a dozen times.
You've got to be Ravenclaw. There's no way.
No, I was either Gryffindor or Slytherin every single time.
Really?
But when I took the official test,
wow,
the
official
Pottermore.
Yeah,
and
Pottermore.
And here's how I know it's legit. I got on the Pottermore and I took the test and I was like, oh, well, I must have been in a bad mood or something. There's no way I'm in Slytherin. I'm totally a Gryffindor. And then I created a new email address because it's linked to your email, whatever you took. Created a new email address, took it again, got Slytherin again. And I told that story to a Gryffindor on the bus on the way to the Harry Potter world and to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
We were going to the Hogwarts. And he and his wife are sitting across from me. And, you know, we're talking about the Pottermore quiz. And they saw my Slytherin gear and everything. And said, oh, you're Slytherin. Da, da, da. Yeah, I thought I was Gryffindor, but did this. And I took the test. So I created a new email address to try to, you know, make sure, and, you know, maybe game the system. And he kind of interrupted me. And he's like, well, there's the proof you need right there. Like, you literally tried to create an email address to try to trick the system into doing it again. Like, and you were going twice. Like, that's Slytherin. You tried to work your way around it and you know, figure it out. And then, so anyway, all of the tests that they give you online or that people give you, and I think the biggest one question test that you can do is you're faced with a locked door, or you need to get into a room, but the door is locked. What do you do?
Pee on it.
What do you do after that then?
Oh.
How do you get into the room?
Oh, I still got to get in the room?
Yes.
Oh, well, there's piss on the knob now. I should have thought about this. Get someone else to open it for me.
So, does that mean you're a Ravenclaw?
Oh, well, no, I'm actually a Hufflepuff every time I take it. So I don't know if I've taken Pottermore, though. Well, I need to take this Pottermore.
The thing was, if for Gryffindors, they would break the door down. Slytherins would pick the lock. Hufflepuff would... That's what it was. You are a Hufflepuff. It's right. Hufflepuff would go find
someone who can open it.
Get it open.
There you go.
Ravenclaws would find the key, and or get a key or something like that. And that was the one question test, and that fits exactly what you said.
Okay.
For it, but yeah,
I'll have to take it. Then,
the Pottermore one is actually really fun. It's worth doing.
Okay, I'll take that. The official one.
I have Slytherin, and it was great because in that same trip where I met that husband and wife on the bus, I also met a little boy on the train, And he saw, my Slytherin gear and my group that I was with, and he kind of like shied away and put his eyes down. He's like, "Oh no!" Like
evil people.
I'm in a train car with.
Did you hiss at him the whole time?
I'm gonna get beat up, like this. No, and we spent the whole time explaining to him, like, look, not all Slytherins are bad. Just all the bad witches and witches that came from Slytherin. That doesn't mean all of them are bad.
Just because we worship he that shall not be named.
There were a lot of Slytherins that changed sides at the end when Voldemort showed up. And they were like, no, I'm not doing this. Are you kidding me? And they fought with the rest of the school. They didn't go join Voldemort. So anyway, it's just cunning. It's cunning and intelligence and stuff like that. It's what defines a Slytherin. Not necessarily evil.
Gotcha.
But...
Okay. No, I didn't say you're evil. But
yeah.
All right, sorry for that.
No,
but anyway,
not at all.
my number 3.
Number 3 or number 2?
Number 3.
Yes.
Number 3 was Terminator 2.
Terminator 2?
First R-rated movie I saw in theaters.
Really?
My dad took me, and I was like, wow, this is great, And then later on, I got the real story from my mom.
Uh-oh.
My dad really wanted to see the movie because he loved the first one. My mom was terrified of the first movie.
First one's pretty
hardcore. It scared her
hardcore.
forever.
It's hardcore.
Like she said, the one where it's reaching out and grabs her ankle.
And
she said she had nightmares for weeks.
What?
Because the eyes, the dying red eyes. She had nightmares for weeks. And when Dad said, they made a second one. And my mom went, I am not going to see that.
So he took you?
And so she's like, wait, but Dad couldn't find anyone to go see. He was complaining because he said, well, I want someone to go see. He was like, take your son. Wow. So he said, today, son, you become a man. Wow. And he took me and my brother, and he set us down and said, okay, now look, they're going to use some words. We don't use these words, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we watched it, and we were just like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And then.
That's an incredible movie.
Yeah.
That holds up, too. And that's the Stan Winston School of Character Artists we're talking about. Like, those are the best of the best of the best when it comes to creature effects, any kind of effects, really. And like made all that stuff everywhere they could make those things. They made them. It was so good.
And it was, and I think that's how we got away with watching the music video because we'd seen the movie.
The music video.
Oh, Guns N' Roses, You Could Be Mine.
I didn't.
Oh yeah, it just shows Guns N' Roses and then clips from Terminator 2.
Wow.
But it was just awesome, which is why the gun was in the roses in the hallway.
Oh my word!
Box of roses. Okay, so anyway though, but that was a big memory for me, and so that's
fantastic.
It's funny that I wrote these down in the exact order I wanted to name them. Now I just realized that. Well, I write from top to bottom and then number them 1, 3, 4, 6, 1, 5.
Shifting.
There's no shifting here.
Wow.
So I got these perfectly, I think. All right, go.
Terminator 2 is still a great movie.
Oh, it is. Number 3.
Number
2
for
me. 2. Sorry.
I was surprised to read back over these and realize that 2 of these were horror movies. So Arachnophobia being a horror movie because I don't like horror movies.
Oh my! What's the other horror movie?
And
the original one.
This was the very first movie that came to mind.
Megan loves that one.
Whenever I wrote this out, I was like, that was the movie I was thinking
of.
Like, it was probably the first scary movie that I really watched, I think. And made me realize, like I lost some innocence with that movie. It was like,
we all float down here.
Right? Like, I think it was the first time I ever thought to myself, oh my, some of these perfectly innocent things can be very deadly. And just, like, why not to trust strangers? Like, stranger danger meant nothing to me until I saw it. Like,
did you rear back, clutch your church pearls, and go, oh, it gives me the vapors?
Oh my.
Heavens to Betsy.
It was beyond terrifying. It was just a different level of stunned. Like just the intake of breath I had never experienced before, and I've never forgotten that feeling of watching it and just being horrified. And you have that one cathartic moment when he's like, eat battery acid, and he squeezes battery acid.
Yeah,
that was great. But that's like the only moment you get that's not like tension filled.
Yeah, you don't need to see the new one.
I feel like I do, but I don't. But okay,
it's I was prepared to hate it.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed part 1. Is part 2 come out?
I don't think so.
Obviously, since we're saying it like that, it may have, and we probably forgot by now.
Missed it.
But anyway, either it did, and I don't remember. But I remember part 1 being good.
Right.
And I was surprised because I do enjoy the first one.
Well, here's the thing. I don't do parts ghosts and crap like that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stand that. Like, that put me off immediately. I'm like, I'm not going to go see that until there's a part 2. Like, that's
that's fair. That's fair.
I didn't want to go see Dune because I knew it was a part 2 or I heard about it. And
that was disappointing.
It's one of my dad's favorite things ever is Dune. And so I went to see it with him. And then the only thing that I watch like week to week is this, the Book of Boba Fett show so far. Like, everything else, I'm like, okay, I'll wait till Hawkeye is over.
Right. Yeah, that's usually me. I wait till something's over.
No way I'm going to sit there and do a week-to-week thing anymore. I did enough of that when I was in the 80s, like, when we were
done with all these weekly broadcasts. Screw that.
I put in my time already.
Yeah.
All right, number 2 for you.
Number 2 was the movie I saw that blew a hole in the back of my skull.
Your head just flew right off.
I was like, how did they do that? They found real dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
Amazing. That was my honorable mention.
Oh, an honorable mention. Oh, my goodness.
Not that it wasn't the greatest movie.
I remember.
I was thinking about impactful. Like,
I remember I was shocked. I didn't understand. I knew it was a movie, but I didn't understand how they found a real dinosaur. I could not. You'd never seen any CGI like that before.
More Stan Winston, you're right.
And I was like, what? Because every time the brontosaurus would bite on the tree, it would pull the real tree. And I'm going,
yeah, man.
I don't know how they did this.
Yeah. It gave you a real mind trip.
And the whole time I'm going, how? Because, the actors' faces, their mouths are open too.
Right.
And you're like, okay, we're going to see the blue screen, whatever here. And you're going, what? Your brain is not coming. And it was on everyone's. You went and saw it again and again and going, what? And everyone, when the raptor's going after the kid and they're escaping through the ceiling, the air duct, and her legs dangling, pulls her leg out, and he just jumps.
Yep.
You move forward in your seat as you're waiting for it, and then move back as he snaps.
And that was
the whole. Yeah. And the second or third time I watched it, I saw us all do it. Everyone went.
Everyone does it.
Whoa!
Yeah. It's visceral.
And I was like,
amazing.
that's when I looked around. It was maybe the second time I looked around and saw everyone else did it too, and I went, what a smart movie. It got the same reaction from every single person. And I was like, wow. I was like, what movie is this? What has happened?
That's got to be the most wonderful compliment in the world. Is to see things like that.
It's almost like the creation of TV I witnessed or something.
Really?
I mean, it's magnificent. There hasn't been another movie, I don't think, that's got me to go, what am I watching?
Absolutely right. And just to watch the movies that made us and the backstory behind that, the one that just came out on Netflix recently too. Did you watch that?
No, Megan watches them though.
It was really impressive. There were a few things
she told me about.
I hadn't known about, and just how they weren't planning on doing the CG the way they were.
Well, Steven Spielberg was right. Use it sparingly and use real practical effects when you can. And for some reason,
built a 10,000 pounds.
No one wants to do that, and it was great.
Oh my gosh,
that T-Rex looked good too.
It still looks good.
It looked great.
It was real is why, for the most part,
it looked great.
Scenes, it's real. Yeah. The only CG scenes that they do
is chasing
ones that were impossible.
That was good. Yeah,
quick.
And that's exactly how you should use CGI.
Now the actors really sold it, like you said. When Alan Grant and Ellie Sadler take their glasses off and he grabs her head and says, look at this, but without words, it's just.
But that's exactly how the audience feels.
That's good storytelling and good acting.
It is.
And it was.
It's a good setup, everything.
How the audience felt.
Everything.
I 100% agree with you that. So, but why would you say it's most impactful? Because it just blew your mind?
It just blew my. It just. I just.
Seen anything like it.
To me, it just elevated every movie. Every movie now had to play on a different field. Ever since Jurassic Park, sure they had CGI bits and pieces in movies before that.
Yeah.
But no one had ever used it like that before.
I agree.
And everyone's overabused it since. Just about.
Like the Eternals.
Oh. All right, so number 1.
Why do I keep talking about
I don't
that
know.
movie that I hate
so terrible. Much? So terrible.
Number 1 is Indiana Jones.
Whoa!
And the Temple of Doom.
What?
Yeah.
Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Why Temple of Doom?
Because of a couple of reasons. And I was right up there with Temple of Doom and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Because as most influential, because Temple of Doom was one of the ones that we rewatched over and over again as kids. Should probably not have been able to, because Temple of Doom is dark.
That's the PG-13 one. That's the one that earned a PG-13 rating.
First PG-13, wasn't it, or something like that?
Or afterwards, they created PG-13 because of it.
And dude's heart comes out, and he's all
hum shaba
today, and it's like, oh my word! Like, I don't know. I feel like as a kid, I acted that scene out a lot, and we had a lot of fun, like just being idiots about it.
Well,
and honestly, it was the first sequel movie I remember seeing too, with a hero that I already knew and loved. And then to watch him go on another adventure that is just as exciting to me.
With a kid your age.
With a kid my age.
Yeah.
Just as exciting to me and just as memorable. Like, the adventure is still there. And so, no adventure movie, like, that was the bar that got set for me. Like you were talking about with Jurassic Park. And that was the bar. And I wouldn't have been surprised if I hadn't learned early on that archaeology is not that. I probably would have been an archaeologist. And I read an article not too long ago because that's been long enough now that professional archaeologists in the field today
were influenced by Indiana Jones.
And they are archaeologists
because of Indiana Jones.
Jones. And I am so not surprised by that.
No.
And probably every archaeologist in the world at this point today has seen that movie.
Yeah, of course.
Knows it or is influenced by it, or that is the reason.
Yeah.
But I think just from an adventure standpoint, because it was, first real sequel movie or something that I was like, wow, there's more of this, and this is great too. Mm-hmm. And having Short Round there as well, like I could come along and I could help do whatever.
Yes, and you were in the driver's seat with them.
It makes you want to learn kung fu so you can help out when the bad guys show up, kind of thing. And then you had the Karate Kid showing up. And like everybody was taking Karate Kid classes. That's probably my honorable mention.
And then you ate chilled monkey brains.
Because how many times have you had an icy and thought to yourself,
chilled monkey brains.
And taking a scoop of that icy and monkey brains. Yeah. Every single time I had an icy, red flavored, strawberry flavored icy, monkey brains. There is no other
substitute.
There's no other thought that goes through my mind when I eat an icy. And that is a perfect example. That's a microcosm of how much that movie probably affects my regular thinking patterns, on a daily basis.
We never grew up watching that. Well, we didn't watch that one for the longest. We watched Raiders of the Lost Ark. Temple of Doom. Okay. We watched Raiders and Last Crusade all the time. And then my grandma, Burger King you could buy VHS copies of all 3 Indiana Jones movies for $5 each. Remember this? No. When you bought some at Burger King.
Because I had them on VHS. So
my grandmother bought all 3 of them.
Wow.
She didn't know that we weren't allowed to watch Temple of Doom. My mom did not remember we were not allowed to watch Temple of Doom. So when she saw them, she just saw Indiana Jones Adventures.
Indiana Jones, fine.
And we watched Temple of Doom nonstop at my grandmother's house. And that, for the longest, was our favorite one. And to be honest, classic...
Partly the forbidden fruit of it all. Is that part of why?
That was what it was. Now we've kind of... My brother and I have moved back to Raiders, I think.
Raiders is your
favorite? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But even though Last Crusade, they're all great in their own realm. But a classic movie scene. We always think of the Rolling Stone.
Yeah, you think of the big ball from
But I will argue that on the DVD set is the picture of him on the bridge with the sword.
Right.
Which is another iconic moment.
Alligators and
it's great.
I've seen many alligators because I live in Louisiana. I used to live in New Orleans.
Trapped.
I didn't think about that scene every single time I saw an alligator?
He doesn't know what he's going to do, so he does the only thing he can is just chop in the middle.
Hang on.
Hang on.
Hang on, lady. We're going for a ride.
Yeah,
you are.
They strap that wrap around him. Short Round, and then they have a climbing adventure. Yeah. It's great.
Just
the bridge turns into a ladder.
Everything about that adventure is an adventure, and it's just so good.
Yeah,
maybe there's some more like really horrifying bugs in that movie. Maybe
really real bugs. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
But yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark is up there because, and I think I've talked about this briefly before, is that it is a movie where you can turn off the sound and have no dialogue and nothing.
Oh yeah,
and then you can follow it. If you've never seen it, everything is perfect. You can follow it all, and it's used in filmmaking classes as an example of good cinematography. Because the only scene that doesn't make sense if you haven't seen it or if you're watching it with no color and no sound, is the scene where he's explaining on the blackboard what the Ark of the Covenant is.
Right.
Every other shot in the movie. It tells the story.
Right there.
You can be deaf and colorblind, and it'll still totally make sense.
Yes.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah. My number 1, easy one, Star Wars. New Hope.
I thought about putting Star Wars on the list, and it's probably the movie New Hope I've seen the most often in my entire life. I don't know if I would put impactful. Yours is clear. Like, it's clear. It's changed your life just looking around the room.
And that was the first movie I ever went to. I was a baby. But I was in the movie theater for that original one. I remember the first movie I remember seeing was Return of the Jedi. So that could easily fit in there. I do remember.
That was your first movie
that I remember seeing.
The first movie I remember seeing.
But
I remember the story of you being a little baby and seeing Star Wars.
Yeah, my mom told me that. But I kind of want to say I remember Empire because I remember standing up in the movie theater and grabbing the seat in front of me, like I standing up and grabbing it, like I could look over it barely. And I would have been 3 or something. But I remember, I want to say I remember the Hoth scene.
Really?
I want to say I remember that because back in the day, 3 and under were free. And my mom and dad couldn't afford a babysitter, so they brought us.
Right.
So I saw the second one in theaters, and I want to say I remember, but I don't know. That's a tough call.
I know for sure I saw Jedi because I'll never forget those 2 logs smashing the.
I saw that 3 times in theaters. Yeah,
like I was like
originally.
That was fantastic.
But everyone knows. I don't have to explain why because anyone who watches the channel knows.
Knows you've got.
But that's got to be the most impactful. Yeah. And I think everyone knew that when they heard about this list. But anyway, so those are ours. But what are yours, listeners? I
really want to know what most people's impactful.
Your most impactful.
What changed your Saturdays
morning
forever
on
Samoflange.
I hope they say Eternals.